One of my guilty pleasures are modern ruins. Modern ruins is like when you have a steel mill or a hospital or an orphanage and they have been abandoned, and you take your camera and go and take pictures of, well, modern buildings and modern structures that have been abandoned, and they have this decay. It's like going to Chernobyl. It's kind of that. I'm into it. One of my favorite photographers is Sean O'Boyle, and I remember that he had a great series about insane asylums, abandoned insane asylums, and I like that because, not only because of, well, it was really haunting and really interesting, the decay of an insane asylum, but it reminded us of a time that perhaps we were doing the right thing with people who absolutely needed it. And in a totally unrelated note, we have the daughter of Ben Affleck and Jennifer Garner, who was having this very passionate speech at the United Nations about how is it possible that people are not masking right now? How is it possible that we are allowing children to be exposed to the risk of this pandemic? And before you ask, no, this was not recorded 3 or 4 years ago. No, this is recent. This is like 24 hours, the last 24 hours. And if you want to ask as well, yes, she's wearing a mask, and she has been wearing a mask for the past 5 years. Going to play part of her speech and to try to make a point about, maybe it does have to do with what I was saying at the beginning. But let's watch this.
For adults, the relentless beat of back to normal, ignoring, downplaying, and concealing both the prevalence of airborne transmission and the threat of long COVID, manifested in a series of choices. Young people lacked real choice in the matter and information about what was being chosen for us. Here's what we know about SARS-CoV-2. It is airborne, floating and lingering in the air. One infection can result in disabling damage to almost every cell in the body, from the brain and heart to the nerves and blood vessels.
Every cell in the body. You get COVID and you basically disintegrate. It's like beam me up, Scotty, except it's that you are not beam up anywhere, or the Enterprise. No, you are just disintegrated, like into thin air. It's like proton explosion. It's like Death Star just hitting you, and you will basically, there will be nothing left to just broom.
Every subsequent infection increases the risk of long COVID and places people who already have it in greater danger. Here's what we don't know, is what it does to reinfect children over and over and over again with no endpoint in sight from the day they are born. We are about to find out. As Dr. Akiko Iwasaki says, at this point, the whole population is the control group. And after only 5 years, long COVID has surpassed asthma as the most common chronic illness in children. 5 years.
I would like to have a more thorough numbers and statistics and a bit more data about which children are we talking about in which households, and I'm gonna say it. Who did their parents vote for?
I am terrified for the children who do not, or soon will not, know a world without debilitating pain and exhaustion, who cannot trust their bodies to play, explore, and imagine, and who will not know the potential of their own minds unfettered by the cognitive damage from a COVID-19 infection.
Wait a second. I'm a bit confused. I thought that we had overcome COVID-19 thanks to Operation Warp Speed, thanks to Dr. Fauci, thanks to Pfizer, thanks to Moderna. I thought that we had finally overcome that challenge in that chapter in our lives that nobody wants to talk about. So what is this young lady talking about? As in, there's some kind of, Scooby-Doo moment, and when you're unmasking the real COVID-19 that is out there waiting to completely protonize us into obscurity, into nothingness out of the blue. How? And my other question is, who was in charge of the selection of these lectures? Did they care to read, I don't know, the synopsis of what she was going to talk about? I don't know, maybe since she's got famous parents, then you get a pass? How does that work?
And I am furious on their behalf. It is neglect of the highest order to look children in the eyes and say, we knew how to protect you, and we didn't do it. We have access to a technology to prevent airborne disease.
Oh, the technology that she is mentioning, I have to include body language into this. She says technology, she closes her eyes and she points and touches her mask. As in, I have trust in this technology to defend me against the real COVID-19 that is going to destroy my whole body to bits, to stardust, if I get somehow this real COVID out there. What?
Airborne disease, something that millions of our ancestors and millions of people around the world today would kill for, and we refuse to use it. And I shudder to think of where we will be in another 5 years of unmitigated infection and reinfection.
Okay, so according to her, we are 5 years into unmitigated reinfection. So you're saying that the vaccines don't work? I mean, some of us were really literally canceled over that. Yeah, it really pays to be a nepo baby. Absolutely.
But let me say on the topic of generational memory that while I imagine no one in this room was alive in the time of Jon Snow or Ignaz Semmelweis, many of you fought the long and hard battle against indoor smoking. My only memory of that era, at almost 20 years old, is being confused as a child about the no smoking signs on planes. Who would do that? That's gross. My hope for this event and my belief in this community rest on the belief that we can and we must do that again. We can recognize filtered air as a human right as intuitively as we do filtered water. We can create clean air infrastructure that is so ubiquitous and so obviously necessary, tomorrow's children don't even know why we need it. We need the people who remember 2020, who were not, like me, 14 in 2020, to be loud about the world that we were promised at the onset of the pandemic, when we and our institutions promised each other that if we only got out of that desperate acute phase, we would do everything we could to protect our communities going forward.
No, all right. So that is the clip that I wanted to show you. It's like, my God. No, I mean, there's one part of me, you know, that I like satire. I like all the stuff. I'm gonna go for that screenshot of herself pointed at the technology. There's one part of me, a small part of me, it's small, little, very little, that feels sorry for her. But at the same time, I remember that every single human being right now, practically every human being has access to the internet. I know if you have just the tiniest bit of critical thinking, and I think that she's got good genes with it's not like Sydney Sweeney, but more like, well, you got parents that look that they know what they're doing. But at the same time, we know that all this woke nonsense, all this being into the Hollywood stuff can really affect children and teenagers. And I think that it was not COVID or, smoking on airplanes or any other disease. I think it was the exposure to Hollywood. That's what actually harmed this lady. And I'm, just a bit worried about that, because you can exercise your own critical thinking and notice that, okay, the world went insane 5 years ago, but it's like we overcame it. But the problem here is that sometimes people form or use these events to form part of their identity. It's like my identity is being able to believe that there's this huge conspiracy and this huge threat of being, atomized, exploded into a million cells, completely deconstructed by this Death Star ray. And you begin to drink your own Kool-Aid. And of course, you're going to look for the research that confirms your point of view. And if you go unchecked, And it seems that, well, I think that Ben Affleck and Jennifer Garner could have good genes, but they are not good parents, obviously. Then, well, you're gonna have a bad time. And the worst part is that you're going to go in a very public event and make yourself embarrass yourself like this. And even worse is that it's obvious that she literally believes all this. That is sad. That is sad. I could have I actually like modern ruins, especially insane asylums, but this shouldn't be like this. There are people that that are actually insane, but this is just plain brainwashing, and this is this like vicious circle of being exposed to information and fear amplifies your reaction to that. And in that amplification, you will go and search for more things that confirm your fears, confirm your beliefs, and you enter in that cycle. And this is where you end. So that's why I tell you, it's heartbreaking. It's I'm sorry. In some part I had to laugh. It's not funny, but I can't help it. But this is the problem, and she's not the only one in the world. This is one example of what they did to us. But what we'll be able to do, how can we fight back? I would like to know what you think about this in the comments. My name is Jesus Enrique Rosas. I'm the Battle Language Guy. Much love and bliss.